Silent secrets. The shocking 30M beachfront properties I kept from my daughter's wedding. The day was a mix of sun-drenched joy and unspoken tension, as Claire sat in the shadow of her multi-million-dollar mansion, just feet away from where her daughter would soon walk down the aisle. But beneath this picture-perfect scene lurked a secret so explosive, it threatened to shatter everything she held dear. What if they found out? Claire clenched her fists, the thought squeezing her chest like a vice. Every corner of her home held whispers of the 30 million paradise she had kept hidden, not just from her daughter, but the world. The beach stretched out like a postcard from paradise, waves lapping gently at the golden sand as if trying to wash away the truth Claire harbored. The sky was a vibrant blue, dotted with clouds, yet as Claire looked out, a chill coursed through her. She had owned those properties for years, a secret empire masked behind a facade of a loving mother. But today of all days, the weight of her deception felt heavier than ever. Why had she kept it from her daughter? The question gnawed at her, gnashing its teeth against her conscience. The wedding planner strolled nervously around the garden, checking flowers and settings, but Claire's mind was elsewhere, wondering how long she could keep up the charade. A subtle shift in the atmosphere pierced her thoughts. Guests had begun to arrive. The laughter and cheers rose like a tidal wave, crashing against the walls of her secret. That familiar lump formed in her throat as she watched people she had known forever, yet felt utterly disconnected from. Would they suspect? Would anyone question how a simple mother could have amassed such wealth? Just then, a familiar face emerged from the crowd, her old friend Jenna, a sharp-eyed journalist. As if sensing Claire's tension, Jenna's gaze hovered suspiciously over her like a hawk surveying its prey. Claire's heart raced. This wasn't just another wedding. This was a battleground for her hidden life to be revealed. What if Jenna pried deeper into Claire's past? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the ceremony began, a shadow flickered across Claire's mind. She caught snippets of conversations from guests, snippets of gossip floating like toxic balloons. Did you hear? Claire's been distant lately. And have you seen her properties on the coast? Whispers prickled her skin. What if the truth slipped out? The thought lit a fire of panic in her gut. She glanced at her daughter, radiant and blissfully unaware, and the urge to protect her swelled almost painfully. What would she say if the truth came to light? Tension crackled in the air as the officiant spoke, but all Claire could think about were the secrets buried deep beneath the veneer of her sophisticated life. Could she maintain the illusion just one more day? The ocean waves rolled and splashed as if mocking her, and for a moment, all she felt was a terrifying silence in her heart. It would take just one careless word for everything to come crashing down. Claire's mind raced, spiraling into darkness, but there was still one question looming large. What would she do when the tide finally turned? The moment hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy and electrifying. Claire's heart pounded in time with the rhythmic surf, each wave echoing her mounting dread. Just as she thought the ceremony might distract her, her daughter Sophie stepped forward, radiant in white, unaware of the ticking time bomb ready to detonate. Each step Sophie took toward her fiancé, her smile as bright as the midday sun, twisted the knife deeper into Claire's gut. How could she celebrate when the truth loomed nearby? Claire bit her lip to stifle the rising tide of emotions. All around her, friends and family were immersed in joy, toasting to love and new beginnings, while she grappled with the potential end of everything she built. As the officiant spoke sentimental words about trust and commitment, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. Jenna still lurking nearby. Her sharp eyes didn't miss a trick. Claire forced herself to muster a smile, but it felt brittle, like glass ready to shatter. Suddenly, a shout cut through the air, freezing Claire's insides. One of the guests stumbled, wine glass splintering against the terrace floor like a gunshot. Gasps echoed and Claire's gaze shot towards the ruckus. People turned, startled, but Jenna's eyes remained fixed on her. as if releasing a silent challenge. Claire's blood ran cold. Was this the distraction she needed or a prelude to disaster? Are you all right? Sophie's worried voice broke through Claire's fog. Claire turned, forcing a smile for her daughter's sake, but inside her heart raced. I'm fine, honey. Just overwhelmed with happiness, Claire replied, her voice betraying her with a tremor. The smile felt more like a grimace as she caught Jenna's speculative look behind Sophia's shoulder. Was her friend piecing together the puzzle? Was the truth about to slip from the shadows? The ceremony continued, but Claire's mind spun with every whispered rumor around her. She overheard snippets again. Did you know Sophie has no idea about her mother's riches? And I wonder how Claire's doing with all her new properties. Each remark felt like a noose tightening around Claire's neck, as if sensing the brewing storm within her. Jenna drifted closer, her eyes narrowing. A fleeting memory returned. Claire had confided once, years ago, about a perilous deal she made to secure those properties. It had been a decision born from desperation, a gamble that had paid off handsomely, but at what cost? The vows were being exchanged, Sophie's voice bright and hopeful, while Claire's heart felt like it was drowning in boiling oil. If the truth came out, would that joy be lost? Claire clenched Sophie's hand as if she could tether her to the moment and protect her from what lingered beyond the horizon. Then it happened. A faint familiar figure moved through the crowd. Tom, Claire's estranged brother. The last person she wanted to see today. Their eyes met for a split second before he blended back into the throng, but Claire felt the shock ripple through her. What was he doing here? Did he know? Unease coiled in her chest. The laughter, the music, everything faded as her world narrowed to the sight of her brother. Memories flooded back, tangled in resentment and unfinished business. She thought she'd buried that past deep, but it was alive and kicking, ready to breach the surface as the officiant called for rings. Claire's mind raced. The chime of the wedding bells faded into whispers of dread, and Claire faced a harsh realization. Could she really keep everyone safe from what she had done? Everything hung by a thread, and just as the final words of the vow were about to be uttered, she felt a hand on her shoulder. Claire spun around, heart hammering, breath trapped in her chest. It was Jenna. What are you hiding, Claire? Jenna's cold voice cut through the din, sharp enough to sever her connection to the moment. The crowd swarmed around them, eyes shifting to Claire. The truth teetered on the edge of revelation. What would become of her in that moment, with truths and secrets hanging overhead like storm clouds? Would she have the courage to face what was coming, or would she crumple beneath the weight of her own lies? As silence fell around them, a shocking reality dawned. Today was about more than just Sophie's wedding. It might turn out to be the day everything came undone. Claire knew she had only one chance to regain control. What would she sacrifice to protect her daughter from the imminent fallout? Claire's breath hitched, her chest tightening as Jenna leaned in closer, making the world around them fade into insignificance. Everyone was staring, their curious eyes like 1,000 heated daggers piercing through her. The sound of Sophia's laughter faded into the background, replaced by the roaring tide of her own anxiety. What do you mean? Claire managed to whisper, her voice shaking. Jenna smirked, a cruel glint in her eyes, and took a step back, surveying the scene. You know what I mean. You've built a nice little castle, haven to you? All while keeping your daughter in the dark. Her tone dripped with condescension, weaving tales of betrayal with every syllable. Panic surged in Claire's veins as she glanced at Sophie, still beaming, blissfully unaware. Please, Jenna, not here. A plea slipped out, raw and desperate. Oh, but it's South, the perfect place, Jenna replied, her voice rising above the ambient noise of joyous celebration. How do you think she'll feel when she finds out the truth? That her mother isn't just an ordinary woman but a queen holding the keys to a 30 million empire? She deserves to know. The words hung like an echo, reverberating in the air, heavy and suffocating. The officiant's voice droned on, seemingly oblivious to the chaos unraveling seconds away from him. Claire's fingers trembled as she clenched Sophia's hand tighter, squeezing for strength. She could not let the truth surface, not now. Not today, not when all the happiness around them felt so brittle. Why are you doing this? Claire hissed, her heart racing as Jenna stepped closer again, eyes glinting with mischief. This is about Sophie. Exactly. It always has been. Jenna's smile widened, revealing the delight she took in the situation. You're playing with fire, Claire. Sooner or later it'll burn you. The warmth of the sun beat down on Claire, but she felt cold. Tom. Somehow his presence altered the stakes. He had a way of digging up old wounds, using their family's past against her. Surely he would tell everyone if he knew the truth. The urge to flee surged within her, but abandoning her daughter's wedding wasn't an option. Why don't you confess everything now? Jenna mused, her voice low and taunting, as if she could read Claire's thoughts. Stand up in front of everyone and tell them who you really are. The loving mother? Or the hiding opportunist? Shut up. Claire snapped, surprising herself. The sharpness of her voice sliced through the crowd's joyous chatter, drawing eyes her way. Just then, a commotion erupted at the edge of the crowd as Tom emerged, pushing through onlookers. His eyes locked onto Claire, wild with intent. We need to talk, he shouted, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. Claire's heart dropped. This was the moment that could unravel everything. What do you think he's going to say? Jenna taunted, the glee in her expression lighting up her face. I wouldn't miss this for the world. Fear gripped Claire, the realization crashing over her like a wave of force much larger than her daughter's wedding or even the secrets she kept. It was about family, loyalty, and everything that had nearly fallen apart before that. As Tom approached, the officiant had paused, sensing the shift in energy. The guests stared wide-eyed, an audience frozen in tense anticipation. Claire felt the weight of 1,000 anxious hearts, all trained on her. It was a showdown she hadn't prepared for, yet here it was. Claire Thomas' voice dropped, suddenly serious. You have to tell them the truth. Before it's too late. Could she do it? Could she expose the person she had become to save her daughter from the fallout? Every heartbeat echoed in her ears. Everything hung in the balance, teetering on the brink of revelation. Mom Sophie turned, catching the uncertainty swirling in Claire's eyes. What's going on? The world stalled, time a mere illusion. The truth was within reach, just waiting to slip into the light and change everything forever. Would she embrace her past or fight to bury it deeper? There was no way back now. Claire's heart raced as she looked from Tom's anxious face to Sophie's innocent smile. Her world felt like it was closing in, the laughter and music blaring softly in the background. A suffocating grip tightened around her throat. The truth loomed like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. Mom, please, what's happening? Sophie's voice sliced through the thickness, her trust hanging by a fraying thread. Claire could see the mounting concern in her daughter's eyes, the way happiness began to flicker like a candle in the wind. Nothing. It's nothing. Claire's words spilled out, desperate and unconvincing. But the more she attempted to reassure, the more Jenna's gleeful laughter clawed at her insides, echoing the reality she wanted so desperately to deny. Nothing. Really? Jenna scoffed. Give it up, Claire. You think they won't notice if you sweep it under the rug? Look around. They're all waiting. At that moment, Tom reached Claire, his expression fierce yet pleading. You need to control this. If you don't say something now, it'll spread like wildfire. Trust me, they'll speculate. They'll turn on you. Each word felt like a sharpened blade twisting inside her, the consequences gnawing at her heart. Claire's thoughts spun wildly. All her efforts to protect Sophie felt like they were unraveling. What would happen to her daughter if the truth came out? What would happen to Claire? A hush fell over the crowd. The laughter slowed to a murmur, uncertain whispers replacing the music. Eyes turned to Claire, full of unanswered questions, curiosity morphing into something darker. Don't do this, Claire said, her voice trembling, fighting back a flood of emotions. You can't let her know. Then why did you let it get this far? Jenna interjected, smirking, clearly enjoying the moment. All it takes is one misstep. Just one. And the castle will crumble. The stakes were rising, and Claire knew it. This isn't just a game, Jenna. This is my life and my daughter's. Life? You mean the web of lies you've spun? Jenna folded her arms, reveling in this standoff. If you're really her mother, you should want her to know what's happening. Wouldn't you? Tom's grip on her arm tightened. The pressure increased, a ticking clock counting down to an unavoidable fallout. Claire, the truth is going to come out. You can either control the narrative or watch it explode, he warned, urgency lacing his tone. Mom? Sophie's voice trembled. What is she talking about? Panic kicked at Claire's gut. Here was the moment, the choice she dreaded. Would she let fear silence her? Or would she crack open her life and lay it bare before the world? The air grew thick with tension, filled with unspoken questions. Claire felt the walls around her close in, and through the fog one thought broke free. She couldn't protect Sophie by continuing to hide. But fear buried deep in her chest wrestled with her resolve. Claire started, her voice barely a whisper, but no words followed. Not yet. Just say it, Jenna urged, her eyes gleaming with malice, coaxing the revelation into light. Show them who you really are. The crowd leaned in closer, breaths held with anticipation. Confusion flickered across faces, mingled with intrigue and judgment. Her palms grew clammy, her heart pounding like a drum. Sophie's eyes searched Claire's, full of trust and fear. Mom, please. Just tell me. The silence stretched painfully. Claire opened her mouth, caught in the whirlwind of emotions: love, regret, horror. But just then, an unexpected shout cut through the hushed tension. Now wait a second. A voice called out, laced with defiance. All eyes whipped toward the new distraction, leaving Claire's heart hanging in the balance. What would happen next? As the crowd turned, Claire was left standing on the precipice of revelation, uncertain if the resulting consequences would lead to liberation or catastrophe. The atmosphere shifted instantly at the sound of that voice, every head turning like a horde of marionettes. Claire felt the weight lift slightly, but it was just an illusion. Oppression and fear still clawed at her insides even as she tried to decipher the new arrival. A tall figure stepped into the light, the shadows swirling around like a hungry beast, revealing none other than Mark, her estranged brother. He had come to the family gathering uninvited, a specter from the past. Claire's blood ran cold. What was he doing here? She had buried the memories associated with Mark deep down, but now they clawed their way back to the surface, unbidden and raw. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. What is he doing here? Someone whispered. Isn't he supposed to be gone for good? Mark, leave. Claire shouted, her voice breaking, desperation lacing her words. She had always been the protector, the shield against the storm, and here he was, a wild card tossed into an already unstable game. He smirked, unfazed by her distress. Oh, but Claire, don't you think it's time for some honesty? You've spun quite a tale, haven't you? His words sliced through the air with cold precision. Let us focus on what really matters, he continued, pivoting on his heel to face the crowd. Do any of you know about the properties? The one she's kept from Sophie? Or the amount involved? $30 million. Gasps erupted around the room. Shock painted several faces as the pieces clicked into place. Claire stared, frozen, her heart pounding its war drum. Mark! Stop! She wanted to scream, to physically pull him back, but her body wouldn't respond. What was he doing, revealing this at her daughter's wedding celebration? Tom squeezed her arm tighter, his eyes wide, mirroring the horror in Claire's heart. What properties? What is he talking about? He hissed under his breath. Just the family estate. That nothing ever went to you, and everything went to me, Mark added, his voice dripping with mockery as if relishing the chaos he was igniting. But Claire? She played the good wife and mother role, meanwhile managing to keep those assets hidden. Sophie's eyes darted between them, filled with confusion and fear, as the breath escaped her lungs, betrayal and disbelief etching themselves upon her face. Mom, is this true? Claire felt the world crash down around her. This was not how it was supposed to happen. She had fought tooth and nail to shield Sophie from the truth, from the betrayals of the past, sacrificing her own peace. You don't understand, Claire began, but Mark cut her off with an icy laugh, an echo of the past she wished she could forget. Come on, Claire. Maybe it's time Sophie finally learned about the family she was born into. Eyes throughout the gathering narrowed with speculation. Could Claire hold the walls up any longer? Or would her carefully constructed life crumble before the very eyes of the people she had tried to protect? Sophie's expression shifted from confusion to anger. Why did you never tell me? Her voice shook, hurt simmering just beneath the surface. The silence spread through the room, heavy and suffocating, still punctuated by whispers. Fear mingled with adrenaline, twisting Claire's gut. She could lose Sophie, everything she held dear, in a matter of seconds. What would she say to undo this? The truth clawed at her throat, but the weight of the lie pressed down like a shroud. As her breaths quickened, Claire's desperate gaze darted between Tom, the crowd, and Mark, who relished the spectacle. In that moment, she knew she stood not just on the edge of a revelation, but at a crossroads that would change everything. "Mom!" Sophie's voice erupted again, urgency giving it an edge. "What is all this?" Claire could feel her world shatter, the pieces spiraling into uncertainty. Facing the truth could cost her everything, yet hiding behind clenched teeth would only invite destruction. But then through the chaos, a new sound broke, the sharp ring of a cell phone slicing through the tension. Who was it? Why now? "Please don't ignore the message," a voice echoed from her pocket, accompanied by a brief, sharp vibration that resonated deeply within her. What had she missed? Who was reaching out? The question lingered in the air, a dark promise that something even more profound lay beneath the surface, something that might change everything. The vibrations of the phone cut through Claire's thoughts, momentarily eclipsing the storm brewing in the room. She fished the device from her pocket with trembling hands, a wave of dread washing over her as she glanced at the screen. An unknown number stared back, mocking her in its anonymity. It felt ominous, like a door ajar leading to an abyss. "Mom, answer it!" Sophie snapped, her voice breaking through the haze, this time with an urgency that felt like fire. "You need to explain." But Claire hesitated, staring at the screen as if it could offer her an escape. Mark took a step closer, his smile stretching wider, his eyes glinting with wicked amusement. "You're not just hiding properties, Claire. You're hiding yourself. Maybe it's time for everyone to see the real you." "Shut up, Mark," Claire snapped, adrenaline flooding her veins as she turned her full attention to Sophie. "I swear I will explain everything." The crowd buzzed with anticipation as if they were waiting for a magic trick to reveal its final act. But all Claire felt was the growing weight of the expectations and her swirling fears. The truth hovered above her like a guillotine waiting to drop. She pressed the green button, putting the phone to her ear. "Hello?" Her voice wavered, the uncertainty seeping through. "Claire," the voice on the other end was gravelly, barely recognizable. "It's me. We need to talk about your brother." Her breath hitched. "What do you mean? What about Mark?" "Things are more complicated than you think. There's something you left behind," the voice continued, urgent and frantic. Her heart raced. What could it possibly be? A secret, a warning? The words felt like daggers that could plunge her deeper into chaos. Before she could respond, the call ended abruptly. Claire stood frozen, grappling with the remnants of that ominous voice while the tension in the room thickened. The faces surrounding her blended into a sea of anxious expressions, sympathy intermingling with suspicion, the silence choking away her ability to think. Mark sneered, enjoying the spectacle. "Lost your tongue, sister? Or did you just find out you're in deeper trouble than you thought? Right as Sophie needs you most?" "Enough." Claire's command sliced through the confusion, a last-ditch effort at reclaiming control. But beneath her bravado, the ground felt unsteady. "Let us talk about what you claimed about the properties." Sophie stepped closer, the hurt in her eyes palpable. "Are you really hiding things from me? What's going on?" "No," Claire started, but the truth clawed at her insides while every second stretched on painfully. "I didn't want you to feel I thought," Mark interjected, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "You thought wrong, Claire. How do you protect someone by lying? Seems to me you're the one who needs protecting now." The whispers rose again, tearing through Claire like sharp needles. People shifted uneasily, speculation igniting. What other secrets could break through this facade? With a fleeting glance at Tom, she saw him holding back from stepping in, fear and disbelief etched across his face. The weight of honesty enveloped her, threatening to smother. "Mom!" Sophie's voice trembled, pulling Claire back. "Please just tell me what's true. I want to know what's really happening." Claire's heart fell. The moment was slipping away, and she knew if she didn't act, she risked losing her daughter's trust forever. "I'll explain everything," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper, her words barely brushing the surface of the reality she needed to confront. Mark leaned closer, savoring the moment. "Just remember, Claire. The truth is a gnarly beast, and it will tear you apart if you don't feed it to the right people." He turned from her, eyes scanning the crowd as he added, "And you don't have much time." Suddenly, Claire's phone buzzed again, this time vibrating wildly in her grip. She glanced down, dread pooling in her stomach at the sight of yet another unknown caller. This time it felt like a pulse calling from a deeper, darker layer of her past. What truth awaited on the other end of that call? What other secrets lay buried, waiting for light? Without taking her eyes off Mark, Claire felt the urgency seize her. Answers were coming. But would she be ready to face the truth that might shatter everything? Claire's heart pounded, the phone still vibrating in her palm like a warning bell. She felt a presence behind her, and the crowd's whispers turned into a roaring tide. Mark leaned in closer, his breath dank with mockery. You want to know how deep the rabbit hole goes, Claire? Maybe it's time to find out. Without thinking, she swiped the screen, and the call connected as she lifted the phone to her ear again. Hello? Her voice trembled, shaking under the weight of the moment. Silence answered her, heavy and suffocating. It stretched out like an eternity until a voice finally emerged, low and urgent. If you're going to hear me out, then listen carefully. You don't have much time. Who is this? Claire croaked, fighting the rising tide of panic. She scanned the room, faces blurred and shadowy, their expressions morphing into a horror movie's gallery as unease hung like a thick fog. I'm not here to be identified, the voice hissed, cutting through her growing fear. I'm here to warn you. Your brother, he is not who you think he is. You need to act before it's too late. Enough with the games. What are you talking about? Claire could feel her composure cracking, each syllable tinged with desperation. There are millions at stake, Claire. Properties, hidden properties you've buried deep. You can't keep running from your past. It's coming for you. The voice dropped to a whisper, urgent and frightening. And Mark? He knows everything. Claire's breath quickened. The puzzle pieces of her life were shifting, blending into a chaotic collage of fear. What do you mean, he knows everything? You have to give me more than that. What properties? There was a shaky exhale on the other end. Meet me where it all began, the lighthouse. Tomorrow at dawn. Wait. Don't hang up. But the line went dead, leaving only the echo of her own panicked heartbeat. Sophie stepped closer, confusion marking her features like a bruise. What just happened, Mom? Claire swallowed hard, her throat dry. I have to go. There's something important I need to figure out. Mark let out a disbelieving laugh, arms crossed defiantly. Ooh, sounds scandalous. What's the big secret? You're not planning on running away again, are you? Because that would be shut up, Mark. Sophie interjected, anger flaring for a moment. Claire felt the rift widen, the anguish pulsing between them like an open wound. I swear I'll explain everything, Claire promised, her voice a whisper of dread. A shiver ran down her spine as doubt welled inside her. What if she ventured to the lighthouse only to discover something worse than what she already feared? Watching Mark, she knew one thing. Secrets had a way of eating away at the truth, leaving them hollow. And she had been hollow for too long. Where are you going? Sophie asked, her tone one of real concern, breaking through Claire's self-imposed barriers. I need to find out the truth about your uncle, about everything. I'll be back, I promise. Claire could feel the weight of Mark's stare burning into her. The crowd's eyes followed her, curiosity mixed with suspicion, all eyes now shaded in darkness. She pivoted toward the door, every footstep feeling like a countdown. Each breath was a war, and the more she thought about what the voice had said about the properties, about Mark, the more she felt like the ground beneath her feet was eroding away. The shadows of her past were creeping closer, threatening to engulf her as she stepped outside into the crisp night air. The chill bit at her skin. The lighthouse loomed in her mind, a symbol of both hope and dread. What awaited her there? And most importantly, could she handle the shocking truths waiting to be uncovered? A cold wind rushed past her, pulling her deeper into uncertainty. She was running out of time, and with every tick of the clock, the specter of her past loomed larger. Tomorrow would unveil dark secrets long buried. But Claire was finally steeling herself to confront what lay ahead. Would she emerge stronger or broken? But as she drove away, one question echoed louder than the rest: did she truly have the strength to face what awaited her at the lighthouse? The night wrapped around Claire like a cloak, shadows swirling in the headlights of her car as she sped toward the lighthouse. The further she drove, the more the dread inside clawed at her insides. Each mile felt heavy, loaded with questions she couldn't yet answer. The lighthouse stood alone against the vastness of the ocean, its beam cutting through the darkness, flickering like a heartbeat. Claire parked near the weathered stones, and her pulse raced faster than her feet could carry her. The waves crashed violently, as if echoing her rising anxiety. What was she walking into? She stepped out, the cool breeze biting her face, mingling with the salt from the sea. She had avoided this place for too long, the memories embedded in the very stones beneath her feet. A part of her wanted to turn back, to escape into the safety of the unknown, but another, stronger part pushed her forward. As she neared the entrance, Claire noticed the door slightly ajar, creaking ominously in the wind. A flicker of light escaped through the gap, casting ghostly shapes on the ground. Claire hesitated, her breath hitching in her throat. Should she call out? She fought the instinct, not wanting to alert anyone, friend or foe. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. The faint scent of mildew reminded her of forgotten days. She stepped cautiously, the floorboards groaning beneath her weight. The beam from the lighthouse's top cast erratic shadows that twisted and danced along the walls, creating an unsettling spectacle. Hello? Claire's voice was soft, almost drowned out by the sound of the crashing waves. No answer met her, just the echo of her own fear and a chill simmering in the air. Then she heard a rustle coming from the small room at the back. She moved toward it, her heart pounding painfully loud in her chest. As she approached, she could see someone or something flickering in and out of the shadows. "Who's there?" She called again, her voice steadier now, anger mixing with fear. To her surprise, a figure stepped into the faint light. It was a woman with unkempt hair and eyes that sparkled with an unsettling intelligence. "You made it," the woman said, her tone casual, yet Claire detected an urgency hidden beneath. "You have questions. Who are you?" Claire demanded, feeling a mix of anger and curiosity. "What do you know about my brother?" "Everything," the woman replied, stepping closer. "He's into something much darker than you realize. The properties, they're just the surface." Claire's mind raced, every word slicing through her confusion. "What do you mean? What properties?" "Your family," the woman began, but suddenly a loud noise echoed outside. Footsteps trampled toward the lighthouse, stomping in time with Claire's escalating panic. "Get down!" Claire hissed, her body reacting before her brain could process the danger. They hurried to a hidden corner, peering out as shadows approached the door. Claire's heart thundered as figures emerged, dark silhouettes against the dim light. They seemed to scan the room, then one spoke, its voice a low growl, dripping with malice. "She must be here. Find her." Cold terror washed over Claire. The storm she feared was here, and it was after her. Who are they?" she whispered to the woman beside her, panic bubbling in her throat. The woman's eyes widened. "They're the reason you've been running. They know about the properties, about you. They can't find you again." Claire felt the walls cave in around her, each word tightening the noose of dread. Her brother's deception was more insidious than she ever comprehended. But why? What was at stake? Suddenly, the door burst open and harsh light flooded the small room. Claire's heart stopped as a figure stepped inside, grinning malevolently. Mark's laughter echoed in her ears, driving her into a chilling realization. "Thought you could run away from your family, Claire? Think again," he sneered, his voice a sharp knife in the darkness. The weight of the world crashed down on her, and Claire knew she was not just seeking answers. She was standing at the edge of a precipice, one misstep away from losing everything. And that woman beside her? She might be the key to unlocking the truth or the trap that would seal her fate. "Get ready," the woman breathed, the shadows enclosing them tighter, "because the truth is about to explode." As confusion and dread spiraled around her, Claire realized one thing. Dawn would bring more than just light. It would expose the darkness hiding in her family. Would she find the strength to fight back? Or would Mark's twisted intentions consume her whole? Claire's mind raced as she stood frozen, caught in the web of her brother's chilling laughter. The air was thick with tension, the shadows pressing in closer, and every nerve in her body screamed for escape. But the doorway was blocked, a barrier between her and freedom, forged by the man who had once been her protector. Mark stepped fully into the room, the grin on his face sharp as a blade. "You think you have a choice now? You're entangled in this family more than you know," he taunted, his tone dripping with malice. "What do you mean?" Claire's voice trembled, but she forced herself to sound defiant. "Entangled? What have you done?" The woman beside her, still cloaked in shadows, watched Mark with a fire in her gaze that belied her timid appearance. Mark, you're risking everything. You don't know what's at stake. Shut up, he snapped, turning his ire on her. This is family business, and you, dear sister, are just a liability. Claire felt fear clawing at her throat. What family business? What have you dragged us into? Mark stepped closer, approaching her with an eerie calmness that unsettled her more than his previous threats. The properties, Claire. Do you think Dad just gave them away? They're worth millions. And I found a way to maximize their value. The dark deals. They just come with the territory. And you? You thought you could escape me? A sick twist of realization sank in. The property she heard whispers about their worth. The estate planning meetings that had been shrouded in secrecy. Mark had always been ambitious, but this was beyond anything she could have imagined. People are searching for them, for us, he continued, his eyes gleaming with a mix of greed and something darker. They won't let you walk away. They always come back for what's theirs. Claire glanced at the woman who had gone pale. You know what this means, she whispered urgently. Yes, not the only one after you. Those shadows outside, they're the debtors, the ones Mark owes. The words hit Claire like a punch to the gut. Her heart raced, understanding crystallizing through the fog of dread. Mark's eyes flared with fury. Shut her up, he growled before turning back to Claire, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. They trust me. I'll get us both out of this if you stand behind me. Not a chance, Claire shot back, feeling defiance swell in her chest. I won't let you drag me into whatever mess you've created. With a sudden shift, the woman lunged, grabbing Claire's wrist. We can't stay here. We must find a way out. No sooner had she spoken than the shadows outside shifted, a clamor of bodies surging into the lighthouse. The unmistakable sound of metal clinks echoed in the small room, guns being readied. Threats murmured in the dark. Move now, Claire shouted, adrenaline soaring as the weight of impending violence crashed upon them. Without thinking, they darted deeper into the lighthouse, racing up the winding stairs, the staircase creaking under the urgency of their flight. Each step took them higher, where the beam of light swept the horizon, a lighthouse above the chaos, where they might find shelter in the storm. But just as they reached the top, the woman froze, her breath hitching. The lantern. We can signal for help. Claire's hands were shaking as she wrestled with the mechanism, trying to remember the procedure from childhood visits. Flashes of light could summon rescue, but would it reach the right eyes in the absolute darkness surrounding them? Behind them the shouts grew louder, footsteps pounding up the stairs. They can't reach us here, Mark roared, his voice fraying with panic. Or they'll find us, Claire gasped, the reality of their situation consuming her. As she frantically yanked at the lantern, the door to the stairwell banged against the wall, and silhouetted figures spilled into the room, their shadows swarming around them like vultures. Time's up, Claire screamed, the suffocating dread engulfing her as she worked to flip the switch. Help me. With one final surge, the light burst to life, casting their surroundings in a ghostly glow. But no sooner had it illuminated their path than the intruders came within reach. Face to face with danger, Claire realized the truth. Her fight was just beginning. Don't let them get to you, the woman shouted, raising her voice above the growing chaos. But would they survive the confrontation? Or was this the beginning of their end? The winds outside howled like the voices they feared, and Claire's heart raced as she faced the storm head-on. What awaited them outside those walls? The promise of safety or an even greater threat? Claire's heart thundered in her chest as the light from the lantern pierced the darkness. It illuminated the room like a beacon, casting away shadows but exposing the depth of their peril. The silhouettes of the intruders danced menacingly against the walls as they pushed into the circular room, darkness swallowing all but their predatory intentions. Drop the weapon, Mark shouted, his voice slicing through the chaos like a knife. The atmosphere crackled with hostility, the tension pushing the air heavier with every heartbeat. The woman beside Claire tugged her arm, whispering urgently, "We need to move." "No, we need to hold our ground," Claire replied, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She released her grip on the lantern's switch, readying herself to face the threat before them. "I won't let them take us down without a fight." Mark stepped forward, eyes narrowed, taking in the scene with calculated menace. "You think you can intimidate me with that feeble light? You don't realize what I've gotten us into." A harsh laugh came from the darkness, reverberating around them like a taunt. You wanted power, Mark. Now the bill has come due. The speaker emerged, a burly figure named Carlos, one of Mark's supposed associates turned enemies. Claire's breath hitched. If Mark had involved Carlos in his schemes, then danger was deep in betrayal. Stay back, Claire yelled, raising her voice above the encroaching threat. You don't want this fight. Her stance was shaky, fueled by instinct, but she could feel the weight of truth behind her words. The woman beside her nodded, eyes burning with determination. Claire, Mark snarled, stepping forward again. You've always been the weak link. You can't keep protecting Sophie from the truth forever. It's time she learns what our family is capable of. It was like a punch to the gut. Claire's chest tightened as realization washed over her in waves. The shield she had built around Sophie was crumbling, as Mark planned to not just expose her lies, but also twist them into a darkness that could consume them all. I'll protect her, Claire shouted, imbued with fierce resolve. The thought of her daughter fueled her, and she stepped closer to the edge of the lantern's light. Whatever you've done, it doesn't define who I am or who Sophie will be. You can't take that away from us. Carlos took a menacing step toward her, and with it, Claire recognized the depths of his betrayal. Oh, but the darkness is what runs in your blood, Claire. Your father was always too soft. You think you can escape it? You thought you could hide? I didn't hide. I survived. Claire's voice rang out, echoing in defiance, deep and unwavering. Yet uncertainty gnawed at her heart. Would it be enough to save them? The shadows shifted again, the room humming with tension, laughter clawing at the corners. She could almost taste fear as it settled over her tongue. Mom! Sophie's voice broke through the terror, the sound of her daughter's panic cutting sharply through Claire's focus on the chaos, anchoring her to the loving spirit that was her true compass. Get back! Claire shouted, panic feeding her drive. She turned to the woman. What was her name again? We have to get her out of here. I won't abandon you, the woman said, fire igniting in her gaze. I'd rather fight than run. Movement to her right caught Claire's eye as one of the intruders lunged forward, swinging a weapon toward the lantern. In that moment, everything slowed, the flickering light illuminating a flash of steel. Claire pushed past her fear, positioning herself to shield the woman, her desperate instinct overpowering the bone-deep dread coursing through her. But Claire wasn't the only one ready to fight. As bodies collided, Sophie burst into the room, her eyes wide with terror, but she squared her shoulders, planting herself beside her mother. What are you doing, Mom? We need to face this together. The energy in the room shifted, adrenaline coursed through them, weaving them together into a formidable force against the encroaching shadows. Just hold on, Claire yelled, grabbing Sophie's arm, realizing the fight had just begun. We face this like family. Mark's laughter echoed around them, dark and menacing. Family? You think this is a family matter? You don't know what you're up against. Sophie's eyes locked on Claire's, trust gleaming in their depths. Mom, tell me everything. We can't keep running from this. I'm with you. Claire's heart swelled, pride mingling with fear. You'd be better off walking away, Sophie. This isn't just about us. Then let's tear down those shadows together, Sophie declared, her voice steady. Carlos advanced, but in that crucial moment, Claire felt the pulse of the lantern beneath her fingertips, the guiding light of hope igniting a glimmer of strength. Let us shine. The next actions unfolded with the chaos of a symphony. Claire thrust her elbow into Carlos, forcing him to stagger back, a trumpet blast of defiance. The woman beside her swung, fists energized with purpose. And together, Claire, Sophie, and the stranger became a whirlwind of energy, defending not only against physical attacks but the weight of secrets they had kept hidden for too long. Waves crashed against the lighthouse, mingling with shouts and snarls as they fought back against darkness. Together they forged a barrier against the tumultuous storm. With every punch, every decision to stand and face the truth, Claire felt her heartbeat align with something beyond fear. She wouldn't allow Mark, Carlos, or anyone else to dictate the narrative any longer. They would uncover the haunting truths of their past, together. Then it happened. The lantern whispered in electric glory, surging with newfound strength. It illuminated their path, scattering shadows, light cascading like hope into the dark corners of their lives. It was a truth revealed, setting fire to the lies they had carried. Look, Sophie cried, joy flooding her voice. We're stronger together. We can't let them scare us. Mom, I believe in you. I believe in us, Claire echoed, unwavering, her heart filling with grit and determination as the light expelled the darkness. Fall back. Mark growled, but it was too late. The forces of the past collided with the present, and the three stood steadfast against whatever awaited them beyond those walls. As the chaotic battle unfolded around them, the truth they once feared began to unveil its fragile beauty. Together they would face the storm, illuminating the shadows that dared to lurk around their future. And as Claire took Sophie's hand, woven tightly with courage and love, she steeled herself to walk into the unfolding dawn of their new reality, an uncertain world, but one where they would thrive, free from the burdens of silence and fear. Today would change everything. Now it was their time. If you love this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will blow your mind. Smash that like button now, it really helps the algorithm show so many others the incredible journey we just shared. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this intense ending. I need to hear from you, the fans who keep this channel alive. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans know how vital it is to support and spread the word.